Imagine, if you will, that every aspect of our life is like a finely crafted instrument. And just as a musician must learn to master their instrument to create beautiful music, so must we learn to master the tools that shape our lives: our mouth, our mind, our mood. It is no small task. The power of words alone can either build or destroy. The way we speak has the ability to uplift or tear down, to bring us closer to our goals or send us spiraling in the wrong direction. Just as a craftsman learns to handle their tools with precision and care, we too must learn to manage our speech, ensuring that what we say is in harmony with the life we wish to create. Likewise, our thoughts are like a garden. Without careful tending, they can become overrun with weeds, distracting us from the things that matter most. We must be vigilant, learning not to let our minds wander aimlessly, but instead cultivating a garden of thoughts that supports our highest ideals and goals. Our mood is another powerful force, often swaying with the winds of circumstance. Yet, we do not have to be tossed about by every gust of wind. Just as a captain steers a ship through stormy seas, we too can learn to control our emotional responses, choosing to remain steady and composed, no matter what challenges life may present. And then there is our money, an instrument of both power and potential. If we do not learn to manage it wisely, it can slip through our fingers, wasted on fleeting desires. But with discipline and foresight, we can turn our financial resources into a foundation for the future, building a life of security and abundance. In each of these areas, the journey is not an easy one. It requires intention, awareness, and the willingness to make adjustments along the way. But through steady practice, we can learn to control these forces, not as masters who rule with an iron fist, but as stewards who guide and direct them toward the life we are meant to live. It all begins with a choice. The choice to take responsibility for the tools we have and to use them wisely. And as we learn to control our mouth, mind, mood, and money, we will discover that the life we desire is not a distant dream, but something within our reach, waiting to be shaped by our own hands. 1. Mastering the power of your words. Speak with purpose. 2. Cultivating a mindset for success, tending to your thoughts. 3. Emotional mastery. Navigating your mood with strength and poise. 4. Building wealth with wisdom, taking control of your money. 5. The art of self-discipline, unlocking the power of personal control. Words. They are in many ways the building blocks of our reality. We speak them, we hear them, and they shape the world around us in ways we often fail to notice. Each word that leaves our lips is an act of creation, a small stroke of the pen upon the canvas of our lives. And yet, too often we speak without thought, without purpose, letting our words flow carelessly into the world. But what if we could master the power of our speech? What if every word we spoke was deliberate, purposeful, and aligned with the life we wish to create? To begin, we must understand that words hold great power. They are not simply sounds or symbols, they are agents of change. A single word can inspire, heal, encourage, or destroy. The ancient wisdom of old tells us that the tongue is a fire, capable of kindling great blessings or igniting terrible destruction. And it is true. Consider for a moment the impact words have had in history. The leaders who rallied nations with their speeches, the teachers who sparked revolutions with their lessons, and the friends who, through a simple phrase, lifted us from despair. But how often do we squander that power, speaking out of anger, frustration, or habit? We say things without thinking, throwing words into the air like stones, not realizing the ripple effects they have. Our words influence others, whether we acknowledge it or not. The way we speak to those around us shapes their perception of us, and it shapes their own beliefs about themselves. It is a quiet, often unseen force, but it is always at work. What would happen if we chose to speak with purpose? If every word we uttered was spoken with the awareness that it has the potential to build or break, to uplift or diminish. Imagine the power of speaking with intention, crafting our words with care, and choosing to speak only that which will bring life to those who hear it. When we speak with purpose, we align ourselves with a higher ideal. We choose to speak truth, not out of convenience, but because it is the right thing to do. We speak with kindness, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. We speak with clarity, so that our words may be understood and received with open hearts. But mastering our words requires more than just speaking with intention. It also requires listening. For every word we speak is born from the thoughts we harbor within our minds. If we are careless with our thoughts, we will be careless with our words. And so the first step in mastering the power of speech is to master the mind from which our words flow. A disciplined mind will yield disciplined speech, and a thoughtful mind will give rise to words that are rich with meaning. Furthermore, we must learn to be patient with our speech. Too often we speak before we have fully thought through the consequences of our words. We react instead of respond. But if we can learn to pause before speaking, to measure our words carefully, we will find that our speech becomes a tool of wisdom rather than a vehicle for regret. It is not enough to simply speak with purpose in the moment. We must also cultivate a habit of thoughtful speech over time. And finally, we must remember that our words carry weight not only for others but for ourselves. What we say about ourselves, to ourselves, has the power to shape our identity. If we speak with negativity or doubt, we reinforce those limiting beliefs. But if we speak with encouragement and affirmation, we begin to believe in our own potential. The words we speak to ourselves are the foundation upon which we build our sense of worth and possibility. To master the power of our words is to master a crucial aspect of our lives. It is to take responsibility for the influence we wield and to use that influence for good. It is to speak with purpose, to choose words that inspire, that heal, and that create a world worthy of the best within us. And in doing so, we will find that our words, like seeds, will grow into a life of meaning, impact, and fulfillment. In the quiet chambers of our mind, there lies the very foundation of all that we are and all that we hope to become. Within the thoughts we nurture, we shape our destiny. The mind, like a garden, is both a space of vast potential and, if neglected, a place overrun by weeds of doubt, fear, and negativity. What we allow to grow there will inevitably influence every action we take, every decision we make, and ultimately the life we lead. To cultivate a mindset for success, we must tend to these thoughts with the care of a gardener nurturing precious plants, knowing that each seed planted today will blossom into the reality we experience tomorrow. It begins with awareness. We must first recognize that our thoughts are not just fleeting ideas. They are powerful forces that determine the course of our lives. They dictate how we see the world, how we respond to challenges, and how we define our worth. If we are not intentional about the thoughts we allow to take root, we risk being carried along by whatever winds of circumstance blow our way. But if we become conscious gardeners of our own minds, we can choose which thoughts to nurture and which to uproot. A mindset for success is not born overnight, nor is it achieved through mere wishful thinking. It is the result of consistent effort, of daily practice in choosing thoughts that align with our higher purpose. We must train our minds to look beyond the immediate obstacles and focus instead on the possibilities that lie beyond them. When challenges arise, as they inevitably will, we must cultivate the habit of viewing them not as insurmountable barriers, but as opportunities for growth. Success does not come to those who avoid difficulty, but to those who learn to rise above it, to see it not as a hindrance, but as a stepping stone on the path toward greatness. And yet, even in our efforts to maintain a positive mindset, we must be mindful of the tendency to fall into patterns of self-doubt. How often do we tell ourselves that we are not enough, that we cannot succeed, that our dreams are too far out of reach? These are the weeds of the mind, creeping in and choking the very life out of our aspirations. To cultivate a mindset for success, We must learn to replace these limiting beliefs with thoughts of possibility, hope, and confidence. We must speak to ourselves as we would speak to a dear friend, encouraging, affirming, and believing in our own potential. But even more than replacing negative thoughts, we must actively sow seeds of gratitude, resilience, and ambition. A grateful mind is one that sees opportunity in every circumstance, that understands that even in the midst of hardship, there is something to be learned, something to be gained. When we cultivate gratitude, we begin to shift our focus from what we lack to what we have, and in doing so, we open ourselves up to greater abundance. Resilience is another essential quality of a successful mindset. It is not enough to simply think positively. We must also develop the strength to persevere in the face of adversity. Success is not a straight path, but rather a winding road filled with detours and setbacks. A resilient mindset embraces these challenges, learning from them and pressing forward with renewed determination. And then there is ambition. The quiet yet relentless drive to improve, to strive, and to achieve. Ambition, when paired with discipline, can propel us to heights we never imagined possible. It is the force that pushes us to rise each day with purpose, to work tirelessly toward our goals, even when the way seems unclear. But ambition, too, must be guided by wisdom. It must be rooted in a deeper sense of meaning and purpose, for without that anchor, ambition can lead us astray. As we tend to our thoughts, we begin to realize that the mindset for success is not just about achieving external goals, but about transforming ourselves from the inside out. It is about aligning our inner world with the life we wish to create. When we choose to cultivate a mindset of success, we are choosing to believe in the power of our thoughts, to take responsibility for the life we lead, and to take action each day toward the future we envision. In this way, we become not just passive recipients of life's circumstances, but active participants in its unfolding. Our minds, when cultivated with care and intention, become the fertile ground in which success takes root and grows. And in the end, it is the thoughts we nurture today that will shape the life we lead tomorrow. So, tend to your mind as you would tend to a garden, carefully, thoughtfully, and with an unwavering belief in its potential to bear fruit. Emotions are a powerful force within us, as real and as alive as the tides of the sea. They rise and fall, ebbing and flowing, often without warning or reason. In our lives, we are faced with countless challenges that stir our emotions: joy, frustration, anger, sadness, and even fear. It is easy to feel overwhelmed by the sheer strength of these emotional waves. But it is crucial to remember that, though we cannot always control when or how these emotions arise, we can control how we respond to them. True mastery over our emotions is not about suppressing or denying them, but about learning to navigate them with strength, grace, and poise. The first step in achieving emotional mastery is to accept that emotions are natural. They are not enemies to be fought, nor are they signs of weakness. Emotions are simply part of the human experience. To deny them is to deny a vital aspect of our nature. It is through our emotions that we connect with others, experience the beauty of life, and, at times, discover the depths of our own soul. But if we are to live with purpose and intention, we must learn not to be ruled by our emotions. Instead, we must become their stewards, guiding them with wisdom and awareness. There are moments in life when we may feel like we are at the mercy of our moods. Perhaps a difficult circumstance has left us feeling angry or discouraged, or a sudden change has thrown us into uncertainty. In such times, it is easy to fall into despair, to give in to the emotions that rise within us. But emotional mastery calls for something greater. It calls for the ability to pause, to take a step back, and to breathe before reacting. We must remember that our feelings, as powerful as they are, do not define us. They are not a measure of our worth, nor do they determine our future. We can acknowledge our emotions without allowing them to dictate our actions. In the moments when our emotions threaten to overwhelm us, we must summon the strength to be still. It is in the stillness that we find clarity and perspective. By allowing ourselves space to feel, we also give ourselves the time to reflect. How often have we acted in haste, in the heat of anger or frustration, only to regret it later? Emotional mastery requires that we recognize the danger of impulsive reactions and instead choose to respond with thoughtfulness and intention. The more we practice this discipline, the more we find ourselves able to navigate life's storms with a sense of calm. Poise is another vital aspect of emotional mastery. To remain poised in the face of adversity is not to suppress our feelings, but rather to hold ourselves with dignity, even when we are faced with difficulties. It is to maintain our composure in the midst of chaos, to act with purpose when all around us may seem uncertain. Poise is a reflection of inner strength, the strength to remain steady, to not be tossed about by every change of circumstance. It is an attitude that comes from knowing ourselves, understanding our values, and choosing to live in alignment with those values, regardless of external circumstances. Moreover, mastering our emotions allows us to experience life more fully. When we are not ruled by our moods, we are free to experience the world with a sense of peace and joy. We can celebrate the good times without clinging to them, and we can weather the bad times without losing ourselves. Emotional mastery does not mean we stop feeling. Rather, it means that we allow ourselves to feel deeply without being overwhelmed by our emotions. We can experience the highs and lows of life with full awareness, knowing that neither defines us, but that both are part of the journey. The path to emotional mastery requires patience and practice. It is not something we can achieve overnight, but something we develop over time, through reflection, self-discipline, and mindfulness. Each time we face a challenge, we are given an opportunity to practice emotional mastery. Each time we are tempted to react out of frustration or fear, we are invited to pause, breathe, and choose a more grounded response. And as we continue to practice emotional mastery, we find that we are not only better able to navigate our own moods, but also better able to support others in theirs. The calmness we cultivate within ourselves spreads outward, creating an atmosphere of peace and understanding wherever we go. We become the steady hand in a world that often seems shaken by uncertainty. In the end, emotional mastery is not about controlling or suppressing our emotions. It is about navigating them with strength and poise. It is about recognizing that we are the stewards of our inner world, and that through awareness, discipline, and grace, we can rise above the currents of life and move forward with clarity and purpose. And in doing so, we not only create a life of meaning and fulfillment, but we also become a source of strength and inspiration to those around us. Money, much like time, is a tool, a powerful instrument that can shape the course of our lives. It has the potential to either create a future of abundance or a life of struggle, depending on how we choose to wield it. We often hear that wealth is the key to freedom, and while this may be true in part, it is not the wealth itself that provides this freedom, but the wisdom with which we manage it. To build lasting wealth, we must first understand that it is not merely a matter of accumulation, but of careful stewardship. Wealth is not just the result of earning more, but the product of wise choices and disciplined actions. In the pursuit of wealth, many are tempted by the fleeting allure of instant gratification, the desire for things that give us momentary pleasure but leave us unfulfilled in the long run. The world around us encourages us to chase after the latest trends, the newest gadgets, the biggest houses, and the most luxurious lifestyles. But true wealth is not measured by what we own, but by how we manage what we have. It is a matter of using money not as an end in itself, but as a means to achieve greater goals, to create security, and to build a life that reflects our values. To take control of your money, you must first understand that wealth is not just about what comes in, but what you keep. It is easy to fall into the trap of thinking that more money will solve all your problems. But wealth is not built in the volume of income, but in the habits of saving, investing, and managing what you have. This requires wisdom. Wisdom to understand the difference between need and want, between what will serve you in the long term and what will only bring temporary satisfaction. It is the ability to delay gratification, to make choices that build towards something greater, rather than immediate pleasures that are soon forgotten. There is a quiet discipline in wealth building, a practice of restraint and foresight. When we take control of our finances, we are not simply putting aside money for the future. We are making choices that reflect a deeper understanding of our priorities. We are choosing to invest in things that will grow in value, whether that is in our education, our relationships, or in assets that will provide security. Wise money management requires us to look beyond the surface and see the long-term impact of our choices. It means learning to say no to fleeting desires in favor of lasting peace of mind. But beyond simply saving and spending wisely, there is the aspect of building wealth through investment. Money, when put to work, can grow, but it takes understanding. It takes the wisdom to know when to take risks and when to be conservative, the foresight to look beyond the present and consider the future. This requires both knowledge and patience. Building wealth with wisdom is not a get-rich-quick endeavor, but a steady journey that unfolds over time. It requires us to educate ourselves, to learn about the markets, to study and understand the best ways to make our money work for us, rather than working for money our entire lives. Equally important is the awareness that wealth is a responsibility. When we take control of our finances, we are also taking on the responsibility of ensuring that our wealth serves a greater purpose. It is not simply about accumulating for our own sake, but about using the resources we have to impact the lives of others, to create opportunities for those around us, and to contribute to the well-being of our communities. When true wealth is not selfish, it is generous. It acknowledges that we are stewards, entrusted with resources that, when wisely managed, can create a ripple effect of good throughout the world. At the heart of building wealth with wisdom is the understanding that money is a tool, not a master. It is not the pursuit of wealth for wealth's sake, but the wise use of money to bring about a life of purpose, stability, and freedom. Wealth, when managed well, allows us to live with greater security, to support our loved ones, to pursue our passions, and to create opportunities for others. It gives us the freedom to act according to our values rather than being driven by fear or lack. But this freedom comes with discipline, a commitment to living within our means, to saving and investing wisely, and to using money as a force for good. The journey toward building wealth with wisdom begins not with the accumulation of riches, but with the cultivation of habits, the development of self-discipline, and the unwavering belief that how we manage our money today shapes the life we will lead tomorrow. Each decision, no matter how small, is an opportunity to shape our future. And when we take control of our finances with the wisdom to make thoughtful choices, we set ourselves on a path not only to financial freedom, but to a life of lasting fulfillment and purpose. Self-discipline is often seen as a burden, a chain that restricts our freedom. We imagine it as a harsh taskmaster, forcing us to forego our desires in favor of something distant and uncertain. But in truth, self-discipline is not a restriction at all. It is in fact the very key to unlocking the freedom we so deeply seek. For it is only through the mastery of oneself that we gain the power to shape our lives, to direct our actions, and to live with purpose. Without discipline, we are like a ship without a rudder, at the mercy of every passing current, tossed about by the winds of impulse and convenience. The art of self-discipline begins with a simple but profound understanding that we are not merely the sum of our desires. We are, in fact, the architects of our own actions. Every choice we make, every step we take, begins with a thought, and that thought is followed by a decision. And while it may seem easier to yield to immediate desires, to act upon every whim that crosses our mind, it is in our ability to delay gratification and remain focused on our long-term goals that we discover our true strength. Consider for a moment the power of the smallest decisions we make every day. Whether we choose to wake up early, whether we choose to follow through on a commitment, whether we choose to resist the urge to procrastinate. Each of these small, seemingly insignificant choices builds upon itself, creating a life of either ease or struggle. It is through these repeated acts of self-discipline that we either move closer to our highest potential or drift away from it. Self-discipline is not an all-or-nothing pursuit. It is a constant practice, a steady progression toward mastery over ourselves. But to master self-discipline, we must first confront the reality of our human nature. It is tempting to indulge in comfort, to choose the path of least resistance. We all know the pull of the couch, the allure of distractions, the easy escape of procrastination. But self-discipline is the ability to say no to these fleeting comforts, to push through the resistance and do what must be done. It is the ability to choose what is right over what is easy, what is valuable over what is immediate. And this requires not just strength, but a deeper understanding of who we wish to become. To unlock the power of personal control, we must align our actions with our values. When we know what truly matters to us, when we have a clear vision of the life we want to build, self-discipline becomes not a chore, but a tool, a means of bringing that vision to life. It is far easier to resist temptation when we are guided by a greater purpose, when we see the fruit of our labor in the distance and are willing to endure short-term discomfort for long-term fulfillment. Discipline is not about denying ourselves the good things in life. It is about choosing the best over the good, the life of purpose over the life of indulgence. Moreover, self-discipline requires patience. It is not something that can be mastered overnight. It is a skill that must be cultivated over time, through consistency and persistence. There will be times when we falter, when we give in to our impulses, when we feel the weight of our own weakness. But it is precisely in these moments that self-discipline is tested. The key is not in perfection, but in resilience. The ability to rise again, to recommit to our goals, and to continue moving forward, one disciplined step at a time. Through self-discipline, we gain control not only over our actions, but over our emotions. We are able to respond rather than react to the world around us. Instead of being slaves to our moods or external circumstances, we become masters of our inner world. This mastery gives us the freedom to live with purpose, to act with intention, and to shape our future according to our deepest desires. And in this, we find the true power of personal control. In the end, self-discipline is not the enemy of freedom, it is the gateway to it. For through the mastery of self, we gain the power to shape our lives, to make choices that align with our highest aspirations, and to create a future that is truly our own. The art of self-discipline is not an imposition, but an invitation to rise above the ordinary, to live with purpose, and to unlock the vast potential that lies within us all. When we learn to control ourselves, we unlock the power to create the life we have always dreamed of. And that, in itself, is the greatest freedom of all. In the end, the true power of self-discipline lies in its ability to shape the life we desire. It is not about restriction, but about the freedom to choose a path aligned with our deepest values and aspirations. By mastering ourselves, we unlock the potential to live with purpose, resilience, and clarity. When we control our actions and choices, we hold the key to a life of fulfillment. And in this mastery, we discover the greatest freedom we can ever know.